Welcome to the Obvious Leadership Podcast, where we dive into practical leadership insights that are, well, obvious. Your hosts have walked the talk, and now they're sharing their knowledge, strategies, and advice. Let's jump into today's episode and explore the world of leadership with your hosts, Joey and Omar.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Obvious Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Omar.
I'm Joey.
And today we got something a little bit different. We've always talked about like some of the topics we go through. And we're like, you know what? Why don't we talk about some leadership hacks and make a list of it, right? So we got about 5 leadership hacks we're going to go through and kind of give our two cents on. Some of these you've heard us talk about. I think we've touched on just about all of these though, right, Joey?
Yeah.
At one point or another?
Yeah. Yes, most definitely. So to kind of kick us off, right? The first one that we wanted to talk about was lead by example, right? So be the role model that you want your team to emulate. Demonstrate the work ethic, attitude, and behavior you expect from your team members.
So this one, I got to give a thumbs up. This is a must. I think if you're going to be a leader, if you really want to be successful, that's like the must, right? What do you think, Joey?
So I definitely agree. I think that, yes, you want to emulate those things because honestly, a lot of the things that bleed onto your team are the unspoken things. We talk a lot about communication, right? We talk a lot about how that's so important in any aspect of leadership, right? But it's also about the things that are unspoken. So like showing up to work on time every day, being ready to work. Like that is one of the most unspoken things that you can do for your team to set an example for what you want them to do.
Oh yeah. And when it comes to, any new frameworks, any new tactics that you're trying to use, any new habits you're trying to build, if you can't set the example for what you expect, you can't inspect anything for them to really get after. So you can't just be, all right, do this, do that, do that. And it's like, your team's looking at you like, all right, how do we do this? We've only went through a single freaking training that was online, and I've already forgotten like 90% of that.
Right. Exactly.
All right. You want to hit us with number 2?
Yeah. All right. So number 2, kind of just what we talked about, right? Right. Master the art of clear and empathetic communication. Listen actively, provide constructive feedback, and ensure everyone on your team understands their role and their goals.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you think about that one?
Definitely a must. It's actually kind of funny because it reminds me of one of the shows we did. We were talking about like you don't want to joke and make fun of your team members or your employees' work ethics as like the butt of the joke. And that comment that like we got, well, oh, these people are so weak or whatever. No, it's true. Effective communication means that you're giving constructive feedback. You're not making fun of somebody because, oh, they have this behavior and they constantly suck because of this, and this. So we're going to make fun of this person so that they leave and quit. And then I'm going to complain saying that I can't get people that want to stay and work.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But so I definitely agree with that, but I like to take this a step further, right? It's not just about being an effective communicator. It's about knowing that what comes out of your mouth can make or break somebody's day, right? Yep. And it's not just about what comes out, it's how it comes out of your mouth, right? In the context, how you say things. Like it is not that simple, right? You have to work at being a good communicator.
Yeah, and don't forget, guys, effective communication is the 80-20 rule. And it is not 80% of the time you're talking. No. 80% of the time you're listening, even when it comes to your team members. You're listening to their behaviors, to what they're saying, what they're doing, what they're not doing, what they're not saying.
Yeah.
And that 20% offering your feedback in a constructive manner. Okay.
Most definitely. So just a little bit more extra on this. You got to get good at asking open-ended questions, right?
Yep.
Pull the information out of your team, right? And then you got to get good at also asking high impact questions, right? So
Yeah.
it's like you got to find your way to bring things out of your team. But and I swear we didn't do this on purpose, but it kind of leads us to our next topic here, right? So we're going to talk about empowering and delegating. So trust your team members and delegate tasks. Empower them to make decisions and take ownership of their work. So which fosters a sense of responsibility and accountability.
So often, guys, as leaders, and here's the thing, I see this with new leaders that are freshly minted, freshly promoted, however you want to say it, and with old school leaders where I'm going to tell you what you need to do, and you're going to take responsibility for what I tell you to do. And the issue with that is, one, it's not effective communication. You're not leading by example, which is the other thing, right? And they're only going to do that which was asked at whatever capability they're able to do, which is not what you're going to expect. And it's not going to be the results that you're looking for, because they have no accountability and they have no responsibility for what they're doing.
Well, I completely agree. Unless you're that manager of an assembly line, right? And let's be honest, a lot of us are not managing an assembly line. We're managing people that are supposed to be, that they're supposed to have an attachment to how they're doing things, right? They want to understand how they're doing it. They just don't want to be told, go and do this. And then you go out there and just do it and execute. Like, that's not how it works, right? So empower them to take it upon themselves, right, to learn those things. But also you need to be there to show them how to do it.
Oh, yeah. And here's the thing, even on an assembly line, Joey, you got to know what you're doing. Like, you need to be taught and shown, because if you're just thrown in on the assembly line, you're not up to speed with everybody else, and you're actually going to clog up the line, and you're going to create a lot of issues, and you're going to have a lot of product defects passing through on top of bottlenecking the entire process. So you got to be able to lead by example and showcase what you expect. And then when you do delegate things to empower your people, you got to ask for that feedback. And that comes back to the effective communication. And you got to find a way to be able to find out what they're going to do and how they're going to do it without micromanaging. And guys, it is possible. I've done it before plenty of times, and it gives you the most fruitful results, as well as taking away the stress once you start doing it and you allow your people to flourish. All right. I mean, which is actually kind of funny, because that's going to lead us into our next point: set clear goals. Right. And by clear goals, we mean you define clear, specific, and measurable goals for your team. Ensure everyone knows what success looks like and how their work contributes to the larger picture.
So we've talked about this many times, and it's one of the things that it's like part of me, man. Like it's like, I hate to just tell somebody to do something. I want them to understand what role they play and how important it is to the success of the team, to the success of the company, to their success, right? I want them to understand every aspect, what's in it for them and what's in it for everybody else. And also, more importantly, guys, we cannot forget about the customer, right? We're talking about leading people, but also we are affecting customers, right? So I want them to know the benefits of everybody that's involved.
Oh, yeah. Because here's the thing. When you're able to help set clear goals and you're able to get your team, this is the most important thing, right? When you can get them to be able to set clear goals for themselves, it makes the entire process easy. Because at this point, like Joey, if your team is dealing with a customer, with a client, with a guest, a prospect, whatever you want to call them, not only can they go through the process, sell them, but now they can actually set clear goals on what to expect, when to expect, and setting that up for the entire process to set that experience to be a gold, memorable experience where the client is going to be happy and ecstatic. And if, there's a miss, like, hey, Joey, I know you said I was supposed to get this today. I haven't gotten it. Yeah, no, thanks for touching base. Let me take a quick look at it. It leaves the lines of communication, effective communication, open so that those goals can be adjusted and it works. Like there's no other way to put it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like it's like I almost forgot which one we were talking about: setting goals or communication, right? But
yeah.
I mean, the communication part of setting the goals is very important, right? You
Big
don't
time.
set goals, right? I mean, a lot of times the company will set the goals, but it's also
They set the baseline, right?
yeah. Right. If you set the expectation of what they're supposed to be doing every time and you kind of get good at doing that, like it might be a good idea to let the employees set their own goals, right? And most of the time that will exceed whatever the company has put for the minimum.
And that leads into that empowering and delegate portion.
Exactly, man. All these things are kind of intertwined, like we've talked about, right? Leadership is not, it's not as simple as just getting the title, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot that kind of go in between all the details and the skill set that you need to develop to be an effective leader.
No, big time. And it's all learning how to like really work on your weaknesses. And here's the thing, kind of like sidetracking real fast, but here's the thing, guys. You yourself may not be able to point out your weaknesses from the get-go because you think you're really good. And we don't like to tell ourselves that we suck at certain things. We really don't. And that's where having a mentor, we're having like a community to be able to assist and be able to talk and like point out certain things that you might be missing because we're so in the middle of the rough. We're not, looking at the forest, we're looking at the tree type of situation. So which is a big thing. And it still relates to the previous topics, right? Our fifth point on the 10 or as part of the leadership hacks, and we got more, right? We got like plenty of these. Time management. I know we've talked about it and we've stressed this out. If you guys been watching us for a while, you know exactly what we mean. We've talked about how much content we can make on just a topic of time management. But on this, we're talking about use time management techniques to prioritize tasks, avoid procrastination, and maintain focus. Tools that you can use, like the Pomodoro technique or time blocking, that can be helpful for you as a leader. All right.
So to talk on time management, like I said, I've talked about some of my earlier experiences as a leader, right? And one of the things that I thought that I needed to do was stay after and be, always be the first one there and be the last one to leave, and always just prioritizing everybody else's priorities, right?
Yeah.
But really, what I was doing is making a backlog of the things that I needed to get done, and eventually, I soon found out and learned that, hey, man, I need to prioritize the things that I need to do, which is like being an effective communicator, right? Like communicate whole, right? You have to set time aside to do those things, right? And if you don't, then you're not going to put your full attention to it. The people that you're talking to are not going to put their full attention to it. So almost at that point, like, why even sit down and talk about it? Just send an email, right? No, I'm not saying to, right? But we got to make time for the things that are important so that people know that they're important and it can be effective.
And stop wasting time with useless meetings if you're that manager or leader that's always got to set up a meeting because we got this new thing we need to talk about. Meeting. This other new thing. Meeting. Next thing you know, my entire week has got 5 to 10 meetings that I don't need, and it's going to make a backlog. Joey, why are you behind on all this stuff? Well, if it wasn't for these 5 to 10 meetings that shouldn't have been popped up, that could have just been sent on an email and communicated. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And that's time management. Unfortunately, guys, there's a lot of leadership out there, that feels that the only way they can be important is if they're in front and center of an entire group. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of people do when you have a bunch of useless meetings, to sometimes not even address anything, because you end up having to leave. All right, we need to table this and come back with further information, yada, yada, yada. Like, honestly, a lot of meetings shouldn't last more than 30 minutes tops, because all the previous information should have been done, as far as research, committees, all that should have taken care of the bulk, so that as a group, you're just getting to the meat of, this situation, and boom, 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 delegate tasks, actions going forward. Right.
So, well, part of meetings actually need to be held to a time constraint, right? It's not like you need to have these meetings and they go long overdue. You need to plan out those meetings as well. You need to have time management for meetings.
Yeah. Like, all right, guys, we only got 15 minutes for this. Let's hit it up. Boom, boom, boom. We're not going a minute over.
Right.
So, and guys, kind of recap, right, real fast. The 5 points we talked about: lead by example, effective communication, empower and delegate, set clear goals, and time management. Right. Man, that was a fast one.
Honestly, I know that we've done full episodes on each one of those things.
Yeah.
And we can do another full episode on those things. I think if you guys feel like any one of those topics stuck out to you, leave us a comment, man. We'll be happy to make that on our next on our schedule. We'll set time aside for it.
Yeah. And hey, guys, if you guys also like today's video on the those 5 leadership hacks, if you guys want to hear another list, same thing, comment, like this podcast episode. Let us know, right? You guys can also hit us up on LinkedIn, right? So feel free, touch base with us, let us know. We'd love to hear that feedback. As always, too, don't forget to hit that like and follow button, so that you guys can stay up to date with a lot of the content that we're putting out.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, guys. All the attention that y'all have given us. Just keep it coming. We appreciate it.
All right, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
All right. See ya.
And that brings us to the end of today's Obvious Leadership episode. Remember, every great leader starts with one step, and you're already on your way. Small changes lead to significant impact. Until next time, keep leading with purpose, and remember that leadership is the key to unlocking extraordinary results.